एजी पाक तो साहिब जीनो नाम छे तेने चंपीए सासा उसासा दूर मां देखो दिला माये वासे जेम चंपा फूल माये वास एजी रो मेरो में मारो शावसे आने अंतरा नाही एका तीला एवो चालीने भगताई कीजिए शाह परतक बेथा दीला.
Thank you, Naz.
Thank you so much. Many people ask me and say, why do you begin your sessions with the recitations of Ginans? And I don't think I have had an opportunity to explain to all of you at the same time why that is so. Well, the Ginans are connected to knowledge, as you well know. You know, the word Ginan means spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge. That's what Ginan, the word Ginan means. It means a lot more than that, because Holy Ginan contains love, devotion, faith, understanding, many other features and factors. These two parts of Ginan that Naz recited is an example of what I am sharing with you. You know, the first part says, the name of the Lord. We are speaking about the Holy Imam, of course. The name of the Lord is so pure. And that Lord exists in our heart. And don't consider him far from you. Don't say, my Imam is away from me. He is not. He is right here, in front of us, in our heart, in our midst. Mawla is never absent from the murids. He is everywhere. Mawla's presence, try to understand this, Mawla's presence is in the whole creation because he is Noor. And the Ginan further says that he manifests himself in every pore of our being. There isn't a single aspect of our being that our Mawla is not present with us. Let me be more explicit with you. Let me be more direct with you. Do you know every single thing in the universe, every single thing in the whole creation, from earth to the seventh heaven, from this earth to the other seventh earth, everything is sustained, maintained, renewed, and brought into existence by Mawla's Noor. Everything is sustained by him, including every single human cell, every single atom, and whatever constitutes the atom. It is all supported and sustained by the Noor. Now, I'm saying that to you because I would like you always, if I may make that request, I would like you always to remember that this is what our Holy Ginan teaches us. And always remember, the Ginans that we are reciting, they are the essence of the Holy Quran. And Hazrat Imam has told us in many places, we have the essence with us. And the essence is Maula Bapa himself. The essence is the Noor of Maula Bapa. And Maula Bapa is with us all the time. There isn't a single microsecond that Maula is not. He is there everywhere all the time. And that is a very important feature of our spiritual and material ethics. Because for the true believer, when they say Maula is with me, they know Maula Bapa is right here in front of us. Our Imam is never absent. Never absent. We may forget. We may lose attention. We may lose concentration. But not the Imam. Because Maula Bapa's Noor is the basis of the first, the last, the hidden, and the manifest. So, the reason why we have these Ginans in the beginning is not only to offer our love and devotion to Maula, is not only to remind us of the most important holy farman Maula Bapa made to us to say the traditions of Ginan have to be maintained. Now with Ginan, I'm saying to you, Ginans, Qasidas, places where they recite Mankabats and Masnavis, they are all included as part of our devotional literature. And therefore, for the whole Jamaat, wherever they are in the world, this farman applies that we maintain our holy traditions in the way the Imam has guided us. So, in the future, inshallah, we will have to find some Qasida reciters and Mankabats and Masnavis, and we will have them recited too. And they are beautiful Qasidas. You know, many of them have been recited in front of Maulana Hazrat Imam. So that is primarily a reason. Ginan is divine metaphysical knowledge, spiritual wisdom, and it has the category of mystical knowledge that goes into all dimensions of existence. And one day, inshallah, we will take up the subject of holy Ginans and Qasidas and other forms of devotional literature and explore them onto this basis. So let me begin by setting up the background against which I have this topic today, the cosmic trust, the source of faith, intellect, and love for the Holy Imam. It is so important that I would like to say to you all that we really understand how this notion of the cosmic trust is connected with faith, and how faith is connected with intellect, how this intellect rules our understanding about the love for the Holy Imam. Now, just for your information, in one of my past lectures, in fact a few of them in the past, I have used a model of the pyramid which I called the cosmic pyramid. There will be some elements of the information of that pyramid that relates to this. But for the purpose of this lecture that I'm making to you, to this audience, I have used the same pyramid, but I have added more information and been more explanatory in other places. Someone sent a comment to us, and I would like to clarify, and they said that I'm sometimes being repetitive. I am being repetitive for a very good reason. Because if I don't repeat what I said and some people were not there, you miss the connection. So do not mind my repetition, I hope, because as we move along into this series of lectures, the repetitions will become less, and you will have, with Maula's blessing, inshallah, more and more new material coming up. And there is plenty, I can assure you, into the scheme of sharing knowledge about our tariqah. So please let us have the first slide. Thank you, Lakshmi. So this first slide is there are two elements in here, as you can see. There is the notion of the divine intellect, and there is the notion of the human intellect. And let me read to you, first of all, part of the speech of Maulana Hazari Mahmud, 11th November 1985. And as I read this speech, please make this image in your mind so you make the connection. Now look what Maula Bapa says to us. Our beloved Imam says to us, the divine intellect, Aqli Kul, both transcends and informs the human intellect. It is this intellect which enables man to strive towards two aims dictated by the faith, that he should reflect upon the environment Allah has given him, and that he should know himself. It is the light of the intellect which distinguishes the complete human being from the human animal, and developing that intellect requires free inquiry. The man of faith who fails to pursue intellectual search is likely to have only a limited comprehension of Allah's creation. Indeed, it is man's intellect that enables him to expand his vision of that creation, unquote. Now, this part of the speech is rather long, and my purpose is simply to make this connection, and that is how the divine intellect and the human intellect are connected. Now, you have heard in the beginning of the speech, Maula Bapa says, the divine intellect, which is the Aqli Kul. Now, what is that? In our language, in our terminology, that divine intellect, that Aqli Kul is Maula himself. Let me be more explicit to you. When Maula says, it is the divine intellect, the Aqli Kul, which transcends, you know the meaning of transcends, which means it goes beyond, in this case, beyond any material realm, beyond any material barrier, beyond the material world. It goes way, way beyond, which means that it covers the whole creation, the whole cosmos and more, even that which human beings don't know. But the divine intellect, which is Maula's Nur, it transcends. But it is that intellect, this Aqli Kul, that informs the human intellect. Meaning, the human intellect, the Aql, that human beings have, that intellect is connected to Maula's Nur. Now there is a farman where Maula says, when I said Maula, it could mean Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, it could mean Hazrat Ali, it could mean other Imams. There is a farman that Maula says, the intelligence of every human being, not just Ismailis, understand this in a proper context. The intelligence or the intellect of every single human being is rooted, it's got the root, it's got the source, it's got the connection with this divine intellect, without which there would be no notion of intelligence and intellect in the planet in which we live, and also to other beings who exist in other parts of the universe. It is that important, it is that fundamental to know that this is not just a human statement, it's a universal statement.
I have enabled you to share your screen.
It is a universal statement. So this notion of divine intellect, which transcends the human intellect, is so fundamental, because here you can see in the speech, our beloved Imam explains that it is because of this divine intellect which informs the human intellect, that the human intellect is able to make inquiry into the creation. And you will remember, during the Silver Jubilee time, Maula Bapa has chosen the theme of science and faith, where he has explained in great details how science is nothing but a small window that is opened for man, for the human being to explore. But that window is a small window in Allah's creation.
Right.
So
Thanks.
there is a lot to be said about that, but perhaps we'll come back. But that's the first level of connection, that it is a universal connection with anything and everything that is intelligent and intelligent system. You know, today, scientists speak about intelligent systems that are spread throughout the universe, throughout the cosmos. And we look at how intelligence permeates not only the human being, but there is intelligence in every layer and every level of nature. Where does that intelligence come from? Where does that intelligence come from? Everything comes, everything. I repeat, everything comes from the nur of Hazrat Imam into all those layers of intelligence. But the highest one, as our beloved Imam has explained, what is the difference between human beings and other creation? And you remember the Pakistan Farman, Hazrat Imam said it is the intellect. Because the human being has that intellect, he is the highest creation of God. Imagine that. Now, let me continue a little bit more about this notion of the intellect. And remember here, my dear brothers and sisters, that the purpose of what I'm saying to you today, the purpose about speaking about the cosmic trust, and the purpose about mentioning the notion of being the source of faith and the source of intellect and love for the Imam, is for you to see the connection and the foundation. How is it founded? How is it connected? So that's the key point that I want you to keep in mind, because the question is often arisen, how are all of these things related? And as we move along, you will see the connection clearer and clearer and clearer. So what is the first thing can we say about the human intellect? You know, when we say human intellect, we use the word akal in Arabic, akal. We use it also in Gujarati. Sometimes we say akal. Sometimes, you know, parents tell their children, you know, tarama akal nati, tojame akal na. We use the word akal. Akal actually means that intellect. But intellect includes the notion of reason. It includes the reason of thinking, analysis, and so on. There are many other factors in it. But this intellect, akal, the word akal has a specific meaning. In fact, it has a very profound spiritual meaning. You can see from this image, the akal is connected with the divine intellect. Did you know another way to look at akal or to look at intellect? It's another facet of soul or spirit. It's like, you know, if you take a coin, one side is the spirit, ruh, atma. The other side is intellect. But they are together. They are together. And when you activate the spirit, when you activate the ruh, that ruh sends light. Which light? This nur that comes from divine intellect into the human intellect. So take the example of a circle. In the middle of the circle is the spirit. And the whole circle itself is the intellect. But that ruh, that spirit, as you know, Mawla says to us, it is eternal. It is a part of Mawla's nur. And we shall be speaking about it down the road, if not today, in the next couple of weeks. But that ruh that is connected to Mawla's nur, when we are in alignment, meaning when our connection is there, and I'll speak about it shortly, then divine grace from that nur comes into our ruh, our spirit, and our spirit that is at the center of that circle, it unleashes radiance and light that comes into the human intellect. For this reason we say the human intellect is that which connects to the divine intellect. You know, one of the roots of the word akal means to connect. If you look at the word akal, one of the roots of the word akal means to connect. But connect to what? What are you connecting with? In Islam we say it is through the intellect we can come to know the divine intellect, or come to know this root of what we say connection with our nur, with the nur of the Imam of the time. The nur of Allah, the nur of the Holy Imam, is what which permeates everything. And it is this akal upon which the human being relies. So therefore, if you rely upon this akal, because remember, without the akal, you can do nothing. So this akal has constantly to remain in alignment. It has to be connected with the nur. It's like, you know, it has to remain plugged in. If you unplug, the light is gone and you are in darkness. If you remain plugged in like a light, so the electrical power, it's like the nur. Your light is you, that you plug yourself into the nur, the divine intellect. If you unplug yourself, the light goes dark. You have no more way to know. But through this divine intellect, we are guided every second of our life, materially and spiritually. Now let me give you the reference. I've given this reference before, but I really want you to make this connection. You know what Maula Bapa says to us in the Farman? He says, his nur has indicated to you where and in which direction to turn for material and spiritual satisfaction. Think about this Farman. This is our connection. His nur has indicated to us. Maula Bapa's nur is the divine intellect. It guides us. It guides the intelligence in the whole creation. Because intelligence and intellect is a quality of the divine intellect. And this is as if, when we speak about the human intellect, it is as if human beings have borrowed from the divine intellect and we have been given that as a gift. It's a gift from Maula to us, to the whole creation, to have this intellect. Now remember, when I say the whole creation, you have to understand, my dear brothers and sisters, there is but only one source of creation. There is only but one source from which everything comes and everything will return. Whether other people know about it, whether they are investigating about it, whether they are searching about it in their own way, it's entirely up to these different segments of research and search. I'm speaking about our tariqah. And our tariqah tells us in very clear language, the whole creation has come from the nur of the Imam. That's why the Imam is not only the Imam of Ismailis in the practical physical sense, but Maula Bapa himself is the Imam of the whole creation. And one day will come when this whole creation physically will come to know. But for now, it is important to know our connection with it. Now, some important aspect about the notion of intelligence. I have mentioned it before, I mentioned it again today, and I will mention it again tomorrow in my Tuesday night talk. And because the field is so vast, But for this purpose, I have to tell you anyway, even though it may be a bit of a repetition tomorrow night, but at least you see the connection. You see, the notion of intellect is that it is through the intellect the human being is able to find guidance, is able to find the novelty in creation, is able to invent things. When this intellect is illuminated. Now, when we speak about the human intellect in terms of guidance, imagine this. Many a times we come across people who sometimes deny that there is a creator out there. They said, no, everything has come with, there's a different reason why this universe exists, but there is no creator, there is no God, there is nothing out there. That's a very limited view from people who have shut the door to the door of spirituality. Now, I don't want to go into the technical details, because the technical details in the Western world begins at the time of René Descartes in the 17th century, when René Descartes basically said, because of the Cartesian form of philosophy, there was a separation between science and faith. It was separated. There was a rupture. There was a division. And Maulana Baba told us there is no division in Islam between science and faith. Science is nothing but a small window that Allah has opened for the mind of man to look through and explore Allah's creation. This is our explanation. Therefore, the human intellect, according to our purpose, is also that which enables us to understand and to realize the notion of the absolute. Let me give you an example. What is it in us as a human being that enables us to know what is true, what is false, what is relative, what is absolute, what is light, what is dark? How do we know that? How do we know which path is the right and which path is the wrong? Only the human intellect can enable you to know what is the absolute, what is the relative, what is light, what is dark, what is the true path, what is not the path to take. And because of the connection with the divine intellect, we can come to know what it is. So the point here is, make sure you don't disconnect with the divine intellect. Meaning, don't disconnect with Mawla. Don't disconnect with the Imam, because if you disconnect, the intellect goes dark. The intellect goes dark. So I will add something more a little later, but let me go to the next slide, if you please, Lakshmi, and then you can see the connection with the next segment. All right. So just to recap a little bit, as I was mentioning, the connection between the human intellect and the divine intellect. Now, the next segment that you see, it says faith and it says Iman. So we make sure that we don't lose the connection. The point here is to see that if you ask yourself the question, which is the same question for faith, how does the human intellect sustain and support itself? What is the foundation of the human intellect? It's like, when you have a building, you have a foundation. Then you build on that foundation. So here, the human intellect, what is the foundation? Foundation of human intellect is divine intellect. If there is no divine intellect, there will be no human intellect. So the foundation of the human intellect is the divine intellect. In the same way, you ask yourself the same question, my divine intellect, which is founded in the divine intellect, what is the support of this human intellect? though it is connected to the divine intellect, but it is Iman, faith, that is supporting the human intellect. This is very important to see the connection, because many people in life, and I don't say just us, I mean, can be anybody from any faith, sometimes when they lose this faith, and when this faith part is not understood, you know what they say? They say, well, you know, to have faith, to have a belief in religion and so on, it's nonsense. Because faith has to do with God, and faith has to do with religion and theology. And what has that to do with intellect, with intelligence? Well, here is the difference, as I was telling you before. You know, in Western intellectual thought, faith is sometimes considered irrational. Not in Islam. Faith is considered super-rational, because faith is what supports the human intellect. And without faith, the human intellect goes dark. It goes black. Just like Einstein once said. What did Einstein say? That religion without science is lame. It's the opposite way around. Religion without science is lame. And science without religion is lame. So you can see even people like Einstein had something to say about the connection. So in this sense of the term, when you think about faith, faith is the support of akal, and faith is, we say, iman. But what does that mean in practical terms? Okay, in practical terms, now remember where we were in the beginning when I said divine intellect is Mawla, divine intellect is Mawla's Nur, and that is one that brings light into the human intellect. And now I'm saying to you, our iman, faith, supports our akal. But what is faith? What is iman? There are thousands of philosophical, theological papers and books written about the notion of faith and belief. But let me tell you in very simple, straightforward, practical way, what is iman? Faith means love in the heart for the imam. This is it. This is it. When you have faith for Mawla Ali, meaning you have love in your heart, love for Hazar Imam, love and devotion for Hazar Imam, is iman. It is faith. You might say this is very simple. Aha, it appears simple. But you know what? It is so fundamental that once you know the details about it, you are going to be wonderstruck. Because remember one thing, everything we practice in our tariqah has to be real and has to be in practice. This is not just a philosophy. This is not just something to philosophize about. This is not something historical. It has to be real. It has to be practical. It has to be real in your life. And today I'm focusing on that reality. I'm not speaking philosophically, metaphysically. I'm not speaking about historically. I'm speaking about in a practical manner, in a pragmatic manner. So you have to be able to say to yourself, what is this foundation of the human intellect or akal? And we say, akal is founded on iman. Iman or faith means love for Hazar Imam. And only love of Hazar Imam, when we have that love in the real sense of the term, and we understand what it means to have love for Hazar Imam, then the chain continues and iman becomes the basis of intellect. How? Let's have the next slide. Now you ask yourself the question. Once again, I remind you, we have human intellect that draws its illumination and light and knowledge here from the divine intellect. And we have the akal that draws its foundation from the faith. Iman. But ask yourself, how is Iman supported? So, if I was to ask you that question, that you are telling me you have faith in your religion. You are telling me you have faith in Hazrat Imam. Because Maula Bapa is the Nur of Allah. Because Maula Bapa is the Nur himself. And because that Nur guides our intellect, our akal. And I say to you, okay, and you say to me, the faith is, I have Iman. I have faith in Maula Bapa. And I said to you, well, if you say you have faith in the Imam, and I say to you, according to our definition, faith means nothing but love in the heart for Maula. Then the next question arises, do you understand the true position of the Imam? You have faith in Maula? Yes, I have faith in Maula. Now this notion of faith and devotion for Hazrat Imam, in a technical term, we call it walaya. There are two terms, one is wilaya, the other one is walaya, but doesn't matter the technical difference. What is the meaning of this walaya? Remember, this is a Shia concept, but more so, very specifically, an Ismaili concept because we have a living Imam. So walaya, you can see, is linked with the word imamat. Walaya is defined as the love and devotion to and for the Imam. Now ask yourself the question, what is this love and devotion for the Imam? What is it? Well, love and devotion for the Imam is love and devotion for Allah Himself. Don't forget, this is a Quranic concept. Allah has linked the love to Him with the love to the Imam. Meaning, you cannot love Allah unless you first say, I love the Imam. That I accept and I do my love and devotion to the Imam of the time. This is a fundamental thing. And I have to add here, the whole Ismaili faith, the practice of our faith, is based on this love and devotion for the Imam. Everything we do in our faith, even the notion of intellect, is rooted in love. Because remember that in the Quran it clearly says, love, what we say, ishq, and intellect or intelligence, akal, they are linked together permanently. So this notion of walaya, love and devotion to and for the Imam, is equal to the love and devotion to for Allah Almighty Himself. So when we say, I love my Imam, I am devoted to my Imam, it means I love Allah and I am devoted to Allah Himself. This is the equation. Look, don't be timid about it and don't be derailed by definitions others give to their interpretation, and that's fine for them. I'm giving you our Ismaili Tariqah fundamental. This is our understanding. This is our base. This is what Hazrat Imam says, Shia Imami Ismaili Islam. It is Hazrat Imam's word. I don't make up this word. This is the Imam is saying, Shia Imami Ismaili Islam. In our Tariqah of Islam, Imam is the foundation. And Maula's love is everything for us. You know why? Only the love of Hazrat Ali, only the love of Ali destroys all sins. This is important. which is coming to the next batch in a second. So this walaya, this iman, which is founded, the support of faith is imam, because without imam there would be no faith, there would be no belief, there would be nothing. So imam is the foundation. Imam supports this faith. Now, do you see the connection? Lest we lose thought. The divine intellect illuminates and keeps alive and gives life to the human intellect. But this human intellect is supported by iman, faith. And faith or iman is nothing but love for the imam. And imamat or walayat is indeed the concept of love and devotion for the imam, which equate the love of the imam for Allah himself. And for this reason, it constitutes the foundational pillar in Shia Islam and Ismailism in particular. In Shia Islam, speaking generally, imamat is fundamental. It's the hinge within which everything revolves. And therefore, in our system, the notion of imamat, which is walayat, is when a murid says to the imam that, Hazar Imam, I accept you as my imam, I accept your authority, spiritual authority and material authority upon me. And the connection with the walayat, which I haven't mentioned here in this picture, is our bayat we make to Hazar Imam. So, there is also a foundation to this walayat. So, human intellect or akal is supported by faith, iman, and iman, faith, is supported by imamat, walayat. Then what is imamat supported by? What is your proof that you say, I accept the imam? There has to be a proof. You can't just say by word, I accept this or I accept. You always have to have a sense of proof, because anybody can say anything. Even if suppose you have a parrot, you can train a parrot to say something, the parrot will say it. But there has to be a proof. And that proof that we are speaking about is exactly the word in the title of this presentation that we call the cosmic trust, and you will see why in a moment. So let us have the next slide. Now this cosmic trust, the simple word that we have used in our faith is that of the sun. Many people are sometimes surprised when they see the notion of the sun here, and they basically say, oh, wait a minute. You talk about the sun being this cosmic trust. Trust means amanat, this amanat. Remember what I said to you in the beginning? How is everything connected? Because if you don't see the connection, there will be a tendency to misinterpret the notion of the sun in our tariqah. But it is not only in our tariqah. It is there as a universal concept. So let me start there. And then I'll come back to this whole understanding of how the sun or this cosmic trust, and I say cosmic, and this is not simply to use a big word to impress you. No, there is a cosmic connection to the sun, and let me get to it in a minute or so. But let me first lay that foundation. That foundation is, there is not a single religion on the face of this earth. And all prophets who came before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every single one of them, the first of all concept they brought to human being was the concept, we call it the sun, they call it the shams. In the Holy Quran, it is mentioned, zakat, khums, ushr, Allah. 3 words are mentioned in the Quran. I will come back to it in a moment. In other faith, they call it type, like in the Bible. And you can see there is not a single religion that you can identify that they will tell you, no, we don't have the concept of dasan or tithing. It's there. So be at ease, be in peace, that this is not something you need to hide from and to say to yourself, you know, we can't speak about dasan. I'm sorry. That is not a correct thing to say. Because you can see from this image, from this diagram, that where is this cosmic trust and dasan? You see, it is supporting the notion of walayat or imamat, and it is supporting faith, and it is supporting akal, which is then connected with divine intellect, which brings illumination. So let us analyze a little bit this notion of amanat and related to walayat. So the foundation of walayat, we say, the foundation of walayat is the return of the amanat to the imam of the time. And where is that written? That is written in our holy dua, which I will come in a second. And the return of the amanat is the one and the only proof that the murid, out of his own free will and conviction, that has accepted the walaya and the wilaya of the imam of the time. Let me put it to you in more direct language. If you say, I have accepted imamat, meaning I have made bayat of Mola Bapa, I have accepted that I give my tan, man and dhan to the imam, and I have accepted spiritual and material authority. And it is said that for me, who is the one who provides me spiritual and material guidance through his nur, and all of that and more. So I said to you, if you say you accept it, give me the proof. Now the proof is not that I am asking you. This proof is for yourself. You give the proof to yourself. And you will say, well, how do I prove it? There is only one proof. Remember this, there is no other proof. This is the proof. What is the proof? Your amanat. Amanat means your dasan. I'll explain in a second. Meaning, you say, this dasan is an amanat, it's the cosmic trust that I have to return into the hands of God, which belongs to God. This amanat belongs to God and must be returned to God. This is what it says in the Quran. It is Allah's amanat in the human being's hand that has to be returned into Allah's hand. What is that hand? That hand in our tariq. So I was referring to the notion of amanat as dasan. And I mentioned, sorry for the repetition, but just to make sure that we are in the same connection, that this notion of dasan exists in every religion in the world. Islam is not unique and our tariqah is not unique. In all tariqahs of Islam, there is what they call zakat or khums or ushra Allah. And I will explain that in a second in our connection. But I wanted to make one point very clear. And as I was saying, the amanat, the return of the amanat, meaning when you bring the song in Jamaat Khana, it's called return of the amanat. Because this amanat does not belong to us. It is Allah's property to be given back in Allah's hand. It is that hand we call Yadullah, which we say in our dua, which is also in the Quran. Allah's hand, Yadullah. That hand is Mola Bapa's hand. That's why the song is brought in Jumat Khana. Now I'm giving you the practical details now, but I'm coming to give you the understanding about why is it a cosmic trust, just in a second. So the song is called amanat because it does not belong to us. It never did, does not belong now, and will not belong to us at any time till the day of judgment. It's not ours. It belongs into Allah's hand, is Allah's amanat to be given back in Allah's hand. So we cannot make this amanat, the song, your personal property. It's not. That's why it's called amanat. But let me go a little further. The return of this amanat opens the door of the salvation and divine protection for us. How? Let me make it abundantly clear to you. When we speak about the song, remember this agreement to return the dasan in the hands of the Imam in our tariqah. So this agreement that we have made is so fundamental to understand, because many people think that this is like letting go of your possession into the faith. It is not. It is not. It is an amanat. And therefore we say the return of the amanat becomes a channel, a conduit for barakah in the material world, which leads also to our worldly and spiritual success. And through this, true valaya, meaning through imamat, the believer receives divine illumination of the soul and the intellect. But remember, it is connected. There is this connection. So before I go a little further, let me elaborate. Let me elaborate so that we don't lose the connection. The connection is, go back to this whole picture, go back to this whole diagram, and what does it say? It says, if you do not have this segment of this pyramid, let's say you take it away, Valayat collapses, faith collapses, Akal, this whole pyramid collapses and gets disconnected with the divine intellect. Do you remember the Farman? The sound is the foremost of all duties. The sound is the foundation. That's why in this pyramid it is represented by the foundation of this pyramid. Now, what is this cosmic trust? Look at, first of all, the part of dua. This is in the fifth part of dua. And in the fifth part of dua it says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la takhnullaha wa rasulu wa takhnu amanatikum wa antum ta'lamun. O ye who believe, do not betray Allah and the Apostle, and do not betray your trust while you know. Trust. You see the word trust here? So first point of clarification is, what is this trust? This is in the dua. Chapter 8, verse 27 of the Quran. Now remember what I said to you before. The whole notion of walayat is love and devotion for, to, and the Imam. Why? Because love of Imam is love for Allah. And all that we do in our faith is to make sure this love doesn't go away. That you are not broken with this love. That you don't misunderstand what this love is, what this devotion is. And I asked you the question before. What is the proof of your love? What is the proof that you say, I have accepted my Mawla? The proof is this amanat, meaning your dasan. And you see what the dua says? 3 times a day we are reciting this dua. 3 times a day we are saying in our dua that this amanat that is in our dua, it says, O ye who believe. Now stop right there. To whom this verse is addressed to? Say, O ye who believe, to believers. Right? So keep this in mind. He says, do not betray Allah and the apostle or the prophet, and do not betray your trust. You know the consequences. What does betrayal mean? Can you think for 5 seconds in your mind, what do you think the word betrayal means? Betrayal means, in one sense at least, taking something away from someone which did not belong to you and not giving it back. That's a betrayal. If you take somebody's property, or somebody gives you a property to keep in trust, and you use it, and you take it for your own, how do you think that is defined? That is a betrayal. So what happens when you take Mola Bapa's property, you take Allah's property into your own hand, and you do not return it? So this verse of the Quran says just that. It is a warning. O believer, do not betray Allah. Now remember, when we talk about betrayal, it means there must have been some contract, some agreement, right? If you and I make an agreement and I break the agreement, that's a betrayal. That's a breach of trust. So what agreement did you make? Because in the Quran, here it is in the dua, right? So you cannot say, you have no excuse to say that this idea of trust, amanat, this idea of dasan, or zakat, khums and ushra Allah as mentioned in the Quran, that it's not there. Sometimes people say, oh, you know what? We don't hear much today about the notion of dasan. Really? Every single day in the dua, you are mentioning this dasan. Every single day. So how many times do you need reminding? You are reminded to yourself every single day. And every single day, this ayat in the Quran, which is in our dua, every single day, we are reminding ourselves, do not betray this amanat. We made an agreement. Where did this agreement come from? So let me tell you. Let me tell you. So you understand in clear language. Now, I know, I fully realize that, I am dialoguing with you, but I can assure you, without a shadow of doubt, I have all the dozens of references I can give you, with page number, with the farman, with the verse of the Ginan, with the ayat of the Quran, and everything to support this argument I'm putting before you. But in the interest of time, as you can see, I don't have that luxury because the subject is so broad in a way, but it needs to make that connection. But I have mentioned before, sometime in the future, I am going to take up the subject of dasan in a very great detail, and you will come to know even more about it. But today I'm making this connection because I want you to understand this cosmic trust, without which there is no basis whatsoever in us practicing our faith. Okay? So remember, we have been reminded time and again by our beloved Imam to maintain the foundational practices, the principles of our faith. And this is a fundamental practice and a fundamental aspect of our faith, and that is the notion of faith and intellect. Faith and intellect. You can see from this diagram, I'm speaking about akal, I'm speaking about iman, and then the Imam gives us this direction of faith and intellect. But what is it based on in terms of practice? So we have to say to ourselves that unless we are supporting our own practice in practice, then we have no basis to make a claim about what the faith says. And I'm bringing the notion to you bit by bit so you make this connection properly. And I already said to you, this contract was made by us, before the time of creation. That's why this part of dua says, Surah 8, verse 27 of the Quran, says, do not betray Allah. So I'm asking you a simple question. If somebody was to ask you this question, do you remember the contract you made with Mawla before creation began? Let me explain that. And I'll make it very short for this purpose. Do you know when creation came into existence, when the whole creation came into being, and eventually when the souls entered the material creation, the souls did not enter this material creation without having made a contract with their Creator, with Mawla's Nur. And the contract was that even before creation began, I repeat, even before this creation came into existence, there was no earth, no moon, no galaxy, no physical universe. There was nothing, no physical cosmos. Do you know what was the first rule and the first law that came in existence? It was the law that we call the cosmic trust, the law of the Dasan. Dasan was the first law that came into existence. And Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the spiritual form, was the first one in a spiritual form to submit and give Dasan as the foundation of creation. And all the souls that were at that time, who were supposed to come down and came down in the material world, part of this contract, that Dasan is the first of all principle. Because this whole creation, let me repeat again, this whole creation, the basis, the harmony, the foundation is this cosmic trust. What do I mean by that? Every single living thing, from an atom to a cell, to an animal, to all species of animal, to everything, is Dasan. Dasan is the foundation. But the human being being the highest of the creation, is the one who has some free will. And he can exercise that free will to deny or to accept. Because a human being has been given this intellect, this akal, to make sure they make that decision out of their own free will and out of love and affection. So, let me give you a bit more detail. Let me say to you this, in no uncertain term. And let me explain that to you so that you can, inshallah, with Mawla's blessing, not have any doubt. Remember, I'm speaking to you about a cosmic trust. So, what is that? How can I put it in words for you? The human intellect, so you go back to that first segment of the pyramid, if you can see my cursor. The human intellect is linked to the divine intellect through the divine principle of Dasan. Can you see here? The human intellect is linked to the divine intellect through the principle of Dasan in the bottom here. Because you can see this is the foundation. And this link makes it possible the flow of grace. Because remember, everything comes from the Nur, divine intellect, to the human intellect. And then, but the foundation is this amanat. Makes possible the flow of grace which illuminates the human intellect. This illumination of the intellect becomes the basis of the cosmic rapport and harmony. This is the cosmic rapport and harmony of human life with the rhythms of nature, which creates, and which brings barakat, superabundance in the material and spiritual existence of the human being. Let me explain that. Do you know when we are not in harmony with our Creator and the creation, what happens? It's like a car that is running with one wheel inflated. All the other three wheels have no air. How does the car run? It runs with all this instability. There is no stability in life. There is no stability in life. And there is no stability because you are out of alignment. You are not in harmony. And this harmony, first and foremost, is the harmony of the human being, the connection the human being has with the Imam. So I ask you that question today. What is your connection with Hazrat Imam as our Imam? Remember, you said walayat before. You accept the authority, spiritual and material of the Imam. You accept the nur of the Hazrat Imam in your life. So what is your connection? The weight of that connection is through making sure that you have fulfilled your part of the contract, which is the return of this amanat into the hands of the Imam, without which there is no foundation. So, when we speak about the cosmic trust, here's the link. Remember I said to you, there was nothing in creation. No earth, no moon, no galaxy, no planet, nothing. It was what we call the cosmic void. It was the cosmic void. That is, in Ginan, the word is used is sunkar, meaning it was the cosmic void. And before this cosmic void came the cosmic trust. Make the link. There was the cosmic void, but before that there was the cosmic trust. And through the basis of this cosmic trust, this void was filled with this creation. And in that creation, the soul was sent. Now, when the soul came into this creation, how does the soul come? You know that. We take birth. Now, before I go to the human level, let me tell you this, as I mentioned a moment ago. Did you know, and if you didn't, please understand, this is directly from what the information and understanding we get from many ayats of the Holy Quran. And of course our Ginans, as I mentioned before, is the essence of the Quran, explains so many of these things in detail. Did you know every animal, whether it is those life in the sea, those life in the land, those life that is in the air, and those life forms that is not physical, but that is of the other dimension. I'm not talking about human beings yet. I'm talking about life forms other than human beings. All of them give the song. All these life forms, they give and return their amanat to the Imam. Because remember, it is the nur of the Imam that brought creation into existence. You may be surprised, but don't be surprised. Now, why did I say this to you? To emphasize cosmic harmony and rhythm with nature. Imagine this, okay? I want you to think very logically. If all the life forms on our planet is giving the song, but you don't give the song, are you in harmony with the cosmic rhythm? Are you in phase? No, you are not in phase. It means you have breached your trust. How come all the other species and all of the creation are fulfilling their promise and trust to their Creator? Because they do things by their instinct. And instinctually, they will never ever go wrong. But the human being, unfortunately, when the akal becomes corrupt, it goes dark. And then the human being will say, you know what the human being will say? The human being will say, oh, you know what? I am the one working. I am the one who is earning this money. And I am the one who possesses this thing. This is mine. Why should I give it? We fall into disharmony with the cosmic rhythm, with the rhythm of everything around us. Because now you have betrayed your trust. Now, if you remember your trust, you remember this cosmic trust before your soul came into the material world, you will remember that you made a promise. You made a promise to Mawla in the time before physical creation, that Mawla, I will return your amanat in your hand, but you, Mawla, guide me back to my home and to the straight path, illuminate me, sustain me, protect me, and let me be in harmony with your creation, with this cosmic rhythm, with the universal laws of creation. Did you hear me say universal law of creation? Please take this seriously. This amanat, this dasan, is a universal law of the whole creation. Without that law, there is no creation. And the whole creation came into being in the basis of this notion that this cosmic trust is in the hands of all creation, including the human being. But as I said, when the human being's akal goes haywire, he loses facts, he loses reason, and he thinks he's the creator. He thinks he has no responsibility. Now, if you think that is the case, God forbid, let us say you don't, let us say someone does, and you will say to yourself, oh my God, if I made this promise to my Imam before creation, I made this promise that I will submit, I will return this amanat, that which is my dasan. How come I don't remember? Well, let me remind you. Let me remind you. As I already said, first of all, that reminder is in the dua 3 times a day. But you know what? Someone will ask you, do you remember the time before? Are you underline about before? Before you were born. Do you know what our Holy Ginan says? And there are references elsewhere also. The Ginan says, remember what I told you in the beginning. Ginan is metaphysical, spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom. What does the Ginan say? When you were in the womb of your mother, I repeat, when you were in the womb of your mother, and when your soul entered the womb of your mother, guess who came to see you there? Mola Bapa himself came in the womb of your mother spiritually, and he came to see you in the womb of your mother. Why did Mola Bapa come to see you? Mola Bapa says, you want to be my spiritual child? You want to receive salvation when you are in the world? You want me to guide you? Then I am here. Give me your bayat. You know what bayat is? Oath of allegiance. You are making this contract. Now this is the contract made in the womb of the mother. Now you might possibly think that, oh my God, I am a fetus. I am a fetus in the womb of my mother. How possibly can I be aware of this. Do you know what our spiritual knowledge and wisdom says? Even this is in many spiritual literature, but our Gnan gives the clarification. You know what the Gnan says? When you were in the womb of the mother, you were completely aware. The word used is Gnanvanto. You know the word Gnanvanto means? You were completely knowledgeable. You were knowledgeable. You were enlightened in the womb of the mother. Your intellect, through your soul, in the womb of the mother was enlightened. And Mola Bapa came at that time and said, you want to make the bayat? And what bayat did you make? What bayat? We all made this bayat in the womb of our mother. What bayat? We said to Mola Bapa that, Mola Bapa, I promise you that when I am born into the world, I will submit my dason, number one. Number two, I will follow your farmans. And number three, I will not do any ninda. I will not speak ill of anybody. I will not do backbiting. I repeat, these three things we gave our promise to Mola Bapa. We gave our bayat to Mola Bapa. We said to Mola Bapa, I promise you, I will give my dasan. I will fulfill the guidance of your holy farman. And Mola Bapa, I will not speak ill of anybody. I will not do ninda. I will not do backbiting to anybody. I will not criticize people. I will not speak ill of anybody. We made this promise. Do you remember that promise? Well, if you don't remember it, now you can think about it. Because there is no way out. There is no way out. And when you made a promise is a promise. If you break the promise, it's called betrayal. Therefore, in the Quran, this ayat of the dua, this ayat in the dua from the Quran says, O ye who believe. So ask yourself, look, it's not for me. I'm simply posing the question. Ask yourself, am I a believer? Am I a mu'min of Hazar Imam? Am I a murid of Hazar Imam? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself, what is a murid? What is a mu'min? A mu'min is the one who follows the farman of the Imam. Do you know what else a mu'min is? A mu'min is one, if you look at this picture again, one through divine intellect receive illumination in his human intellect and guides others. Is your intellect illuminated? If the answer is yes, it is because of your dasan. And if it is not, then you think about it. Think seriously about it. Am I fulfilling the promise of my dasan, of my following the farmans of the Imam? And am I fulfilling my promise of remain ethical, that I will not do ninda, backbiting, I will not do anything like that to other people? Now let me just add one thing here before I go any further. Do you know what backbiting and criticizing others and doing ninda to others and all of that does? Do you know? Do you know why we made that promise? Because a lot of people, they think it's okay. You can speak behind somebody's back. You can do some backbiting that is not true or untrue. You can basically say things behind somebody's back. Do you know what it does? It shuts the door of the divine intellect. You are shutting the door. When you do ninda, you speak ill. When you say backbiting about somebody, and all those negative things, the door of divine intellect will close. And because of that, everything else, you will go astray. It shuts the door. But if you follow the farman, you submit your amanat, your dasan, you will never do backbiting because you follow the farman. Because farman said don't do it. And because you follow the farman, farman is the divine intellect's word into the human akal. And your akal will tell you, no, 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 I don't want to go there. That's why the Pir said in the Ginan, Ninda thaye tyanti uthine jaiye. The Pir says, when you hear Ninda, get out of there. Get out. Don't stay. Don't even listen to it. Why? Because you will shut the door. You will shut the door. Do you know what the Imam told us about Ninda? You know what he said? Do you remember? Imam said to us, if you do Ninda, it is the same thing that you take the flesh of a human being and eat the flesh of a human being. You think that is something you can do? Eating human flesh? This is Ninda. Every time Ninda is done, you think in your mind, I ate human flesh. No. Murid of Malabaka don't do such thing. This is not part of our faith. That is not part of our ethics. So I say to you, come back to the fundamental principle. And I'll explain in a moment again a little further, but I just want to bring this in here. You remember the foundation. First comes dasan. Then comes dua, then comes ibadat, bandi and everything else. First comes dasan. Don't be shy. You don't need anybody to remind you. You want to remind you? Say your dua. Look into the dua. Read the meaning of your dua. Maula Bapa told us, understand the meaning of your dua. Understand the meaning. And look into the dua. It will remind you that I have to submit my amanat, my dasan. And this amanat is not mine. It's not my property. Dasan is Maula Bapa's property. Go and give it back to him. Don't use it. Don't think about it. Don't even, once you have it, give it back to him. Now, let me read you a farman. This is farman of Imam Mustansir Billah alayhi salam. And what does the farman says? I'll give you a few more examples because, as I said, this is a cosmic trust. And I'm coming back to the rest of what I wanted to say. Listen to the farman. O believers, do you see it's the same beginning like the verse of the Quran that says, O believers, do not betray Allah, do not betray the Prophet, do not betray your trust. You know the consequences. Now listen what Holy Farman says. This is an explanation of that ayat also. O believers, all such rewards, blessing and bliss will be earned by him who in this world obeys the command of the Imam of the time. Command means farman. Listening to him and following what he hears. Therefore, the believers must always be obedient to God the All-High, obedient to every commandment given to him, obeying them with love and affection. This is where the walayat comes in. And it is the first duty of the believer in this world that he should recognize the Imam of his time and obey him. Recognize the Imam of his time and obey him. Now, I'll continue because the next part is completely to do with dasan. But let me just add one word here so there is no misunderstanding. Because his last sentence here says that, and it is the first duty of the believer. Remember the word believer, what believer means? In this world, that he should recognize the Imam of his time and obey him. What is that recognition? Let me not say it. In the same book of the Farman, it says, the true believer, it is necessary and obligatory for the true believer to recognize his Creator, who is manifest in this world in the form of a human being, in order to recognize him in this world, so he can recognize him in the hereafter. I'm saying, quoting a Farban to you. I have the book here, but I'm speeding up so that I can tell you the key points. What is the essence of this paragraph? The essence is this. There is no difference between Mola Bapa and Allah Himself. They are one. Don't be shy. Don't be intimidated by this. This is the absolute reality. Remember when we say Akal can tell the difference between the absolute and the reality? This is the absolute. Because in Islam there is only one absolute reality, and that is the Nur. Will anybody deny? Will anybody say Mola does not have the Nur? He is the Nur. The Nur belongs to Him. He guides us by that Nur. There is nothing but Nur. Allah is Nur. It says so in the Quran. There are more than 49 references in the Quran about Nur. Mola Bapa Himself is Nur. And there is no difference in that Nur. That's why we say, He is one. The Nur is one with Him. Nur is Allah. Allah is Nur. It is Mola Bapa's Nur. He is one with Allah. So why are you separating Him? Why are you saying He's different? He is one. It's only one Nur. It is that Nur that guides us. It is the Nur in Him. Mola Bapa Himself is the manifest Nur, meaning Nur that you can see with your eyes. You can see that Nur in front of you. Zahiri Nur is Mola Bapa Himself. You want to see Batini Nur? Go into Ibadah. Zahiri Nur is Mola Bapa Himself. You cannot separate Him. You cannot divide Him. So, when you see the principle in the Farman says this, recognition of the Imam at the Hakikati level means this. There is no difference. Please bear this in mind, because if you unfortunately go back at a different level, it's a different understanding. In the level of the Sharia, you will raise so many different Shariati questions. We are not concerned about the Sharia. We are concerned about the Hakikat and the Marifat. And it is a fact in our spiritually Hakikati theology and meaning what all this entails. So, let me continue. That, what does it say? Now, this is about the song. It is also in the Farman. Okay, and I'm quoting the Farman. Okay. So, Mola Bapa says, I'm saying Imam Shah Mustansribila alayhi salam says, look what he says. The first duty which the believers must discharge is to see that what he eats and what he clothes himself with are clean, lawful to him, and legitimate for his use. The lawfulness of such matters consists in this. You must faithfully and exactly compute in full all your income and all that comes to you, and set aside a tithe. The word tithe I mentioned before, because this is translated, remember? So compute and exactly compute in full all your income and all that comes to you, and set aside a tithe of this, which is the duty, mali wajbat. This is another word for the son, right? Mali wajbat. Mali wajbat on this. And, now listen to this, and deliver it faithfully, in full, and in sincerity to the treasury of the Imam of the time, who is the king of this world and the hereafter. And you must do everything to ensure that it may reach him in full. Beware, listen to this, beware of reducing the amount of that duty. This implies many important meaning and affects endless blessings. Now, I continue. Listen what it says. By paying that duty, you will rise high in your own esteem. And by not paying it, you will remain in the valley of despair. If you pay it, please listen to this very carefully. If you pay it, your worship will be accepted. I repeat, if you pay it, your worship will be accepted. If you do not, it will find no acceptance. Because worship is acceptable only if what you eat and what you clothe yourself with are clean and lawful to you. That is to say, now listen to this, it comes back to the farman. If you recognize the imam of your time, paying correctly the tithe of mali wajbat to him. Do you see this? Walayat, I said, love and devotion, recognition of the imam, and this is the song, the trust, the cosmic trust, the mali wajbat. So here the farman confirms what I'm telling you, that if you recognize the imam, walayat, if you recognize the imam of your time, paying correctly the tithe, the mali wajbat unto him, then only, listen again, then only the food you eat will be lawful to you, and the dress in which you clothe yourself will also be lawful. Then all other forms of devotions will be accepted. I have at least 50 or more different farmans, including Mola Bapa's farman, related to such matters. Okay? So please don't say you want to hear, and be reminded about why we not say farmans today. How many times do you need reminding? How many imams should remind you? From the beginning of creation you have been reminded. You have been reminded from the time of Hazrat Ali, from the Holy Prophet, from just all the imams have said it. From Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad bin Baqir alayhi salam, during the Fatimid time, etc., etc., during the time of all the imams. Now, do you see some of the sentences Imam has mentioned in this farman? Let me give you something from Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah alayhi salam, and then I want to come back to this cosmic trust. One day, I'll make it very quick. It's an example, because the details are quite elaborate. One day, the Mola Bapa came for in Jumat Khana to give didar. And when Mola Bapa comes, always, Mola Bapa always wants to know in every way, how is the Jumat? Because this is the love of Mola Bapa for us. He wants to know what are our problems, what are our difficulties, what are we going through, what is the Jamaat, is the Jamaat happy, unhappy, and why? Why? So when Mola Bapa comes to give us didar, and we have a mulaqat with Mola Bapa, and when he comes, the coming of Mola Bapa, as I said to you, it is Mola Bapa's nur, it is Allah manifest, it is the Zahiri form. Mola Bapa asked the leaders, how is the Jamaat? And Mola Bapa asked all the questions, and then response and reply is given. One day, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah alayhi salam came, and what did he say? He said, he asked a question to the Mukhi of the Jamaat and said to the Mukhi that, how is the Jamaat? By the way, what I'm telling you is in a published farman. This is not just a story. It's a published holy farman of the Imam. And the Mukhi says to the member, to Maulana Hazri Imam, he says to Khudavan, he said, Khudavan, the Jamaat has a lot of difficulty. What difficulty the Jamaat has? Tell me in detail. Khudavan, there is sickness, there is poverty, there are financial problems, there are obstacles, there are difficulties spiritually, there is this, there is that, a whole list was given to Imam Sultan Rahmatullah salam by the Mukhi of the Jamaat to say, I'm paraphrasing, okay? Because I said the Farman is there. That Khudawin, this is the problem. And Mola Bapa, after hearing this, he says, Mukhi, I want to give a solution to this to the Jamaat. And Mola Bapa stood up. And what did he say? He said to the Jamaat, again I'm paraphrasing, Mola Bapa said to the Jamaat, "Hey Jamaat, you come to me and you say you have all those problems." I'm not repeating it, but you know the problem that was mentioned. That you are sick, you have this problem, you have poverty, financial problem, and all of that. Today, now this is the punchline, today, Mola Bapa says, I want to give you the solution to all your problems. I want to give the solution to all your sickness, your disease, and all these disharmony that you have. Remember I mentioned cosmic harmony, cosmic balance, the rhythms of nature, and all of that? All these diseases come because of that. So Mola Bapa said, I want to give you the solution. I want to give you the remedy. I want to give you the medication for all of those things. You know what is the medication, Mola Bapa said? The medication, Mola Bapa said, are you giving your descent? Descent. I know this is going to sound somewhat very crusading to somebody. But you know what? Please use your intellect, use your understanding, use your God-given reason in the context of what the faith says. Don't go to your own imagination. Look at the evidence in front of you. Look at the Farman. If you think you're a believer and you think you're a Murid of Hazrat Imam, you think you are following the Ismaili interpretation of our faith, which is what our beloved Imam guides us, then this is within the context of our faith. Look, I've said before and I'm telling you now, I am not going to beat around the bush to make anyone feel pleasant or give you a political truth. I'd like to give you, with Mola's mercy and blessing, to the best of my very limited ability, to give you the objective truth. And that comes from the Holy Farman. So you decide how you want to understand this Holy Farman. So the point is this, just to come back to this image in front of you, that this cosmic trust that came from before the creation, which was reminded in the womb of our mother, and which we are applying throughout our lives, is the basis of everything we can conceive. Like I said, that the illumination of the intellect is the basis of this cosmic rapport and harmony of human life, with the rhythm of nature, with the achieving a resonance with what we do between our faith, and especially our connection, the connection between our divine intellect and this amanat. So now, simply just to come to one part of it, I have so much that I've gathered, but I need, definitely come to this example so that at least I don't miss them for today. Okay? So always remember, first of all, in this connection, that if you look at just the human intellect, akal, it is supported by Iman, which is the love. Love for Hazrat Imam is Iman. This is the proof, the love. And this love is the walayat, is the Imam, is the walayat of the Imam, which is the love, devotion for the Imam of the time. This is Imam. And this love and devotion, the proof of that love and devotion, remember that, is your dasan. You cannot say that, you know what, I have love for my Imam, I follow the farman of my Imam and all of that, but I have problem in my dasan. No, That is not the proof. The proof is the proof of your dasan, the proof of this cosmic trust and your promise. The bayat you made with the Imam in the womb of your mother, and of course the bayat you made after when you were born, when you become an adult, consists of this reminder that I have in my hand the cosmic trust that I made when I was still a soul, and when I became a human being into this world, I continue to fulfill that. And that's why in whatever stages we pass, we were fulfilling this trust. So, having said that, remember this is a universal principle, And this universal principle governs harmony, balance, rhythm, and the flow of barakat, flow of grace, flow of mercy, flow of Rahman, Rahim. It comes because we are in harmony with the divine intellect, with the nur of Hazrat Imam. And the moment you stop the song, remember this, the moment you think this is yours, you have breached your promise. The moment you cut this part, this whole pyramid collapses. And when it collapses, the example given in the Quran is that of Azazel, when he refused to prostrate. The whole pyramid collapses. And when the pyramid collapses, you are disconnected from the divine intellect. Then what happens? You no longer are in harmony. Because when the sound is not there, unfortunately, you will see the notion that came before, when there is no harmony with the rhythms of nature. And you know, I'm speaking in very broad terms. There will be imbalance in everything you do in life. Why is this happening to me? Why am I sick? Why I can't do this? Why I can't do that? I can't even concentrate in my ibadat. I can't even concentrate in my dua. You are going to say to me, you might say to me, oh really? Even concentration has to do with the song? Yes. So let me share with you, like I said, the purpose today is to make connection. I'm not going into the deeper theological, metaphysical aspect of this concept. They are there, and I would love to speak to you with them. But today, just keep in mind, I'm just making this practical, pragmatic connection, so you know what they are. So let me explain to you what is the connection of dasan to, you already know about dua, which I mentioned to you. And remember the farman, it says, first you return the amanat, give the song. Now remember, you're not giving, I'm just using that word, but it is return to the song that belongs to God himself, in the hands of God, not anywhere else. And then your worship will be accepted. Meaning, let me just clarify that. I'll reverse the question. Do you really want your tasbihs, your dua, your ibadat, and everything else in terms of worship to be accepted? Then first think in your mind, when you say the word accepted, the first thing should come is dasan. Dasan. And when your dasan is there, your dua, your prayers, your niyat, your murad, your performances will all be accepted. You know what our holy Pir says? Bear this in mind. You may be weak in your spiritual practices, for whatever reason. But you know what? If your dasan is there, in all honesty, sincerity, then Mola Bapa will accept our prayers and everything else. Even though I am weak, I am not perfect, but still Mola Bapa will accept it. But on the other hand, again, let me be very clear to you. I am not saying this thing to please anybody, because my task, to the best of my knowledge, is to bring you the objective truth and information about it. We are also guided to say and to believe very clearly that if there is no dassault, and I may be 100% perfect in my dua, ibadat, in my service, and everything else, none of that is going to bear you any fruit. It will be there, but like the pyramid, it will collapse. So first and foremost, the first duty is dassault. Dassault maliwajbad. This is the haq. This is the foundation. This is the right. It is Allah's property in your hand. Give it back in Allah's hand. That Allah's hand is Mola Bapa's hand. In Jamaat Khana, that Mola Bapa's hand is the hand of Mukhi Kamariya Sai, Mukhyani Kamariani Saiba. Therefore, bring your dassault, bring your amanat in Jamaat Khana and give it in Yedullah, the hand of Mukhi Kamariya, Mukhyani Kamariani Saiba. This is the fundamental principle. Now, having said that, and I'm constantly reminding you about the notion of rhythm and connection. Don't simply think this is a matter of simply taking my dassault, take it to Khane, and you have not thought about anything else. This is a universal law, principle of cosmic balance, cosmic equilibrium. You have the cosmic trust in your hand. And it was in existence even before the cosmos came into existence. You had the cosmic void, but you have the cosmic balance and the cosmic trust in your hand. Now, how is that related to the notion of our prayers and concentration, and especially in ibadah? Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. The notion of the mind, remember this, we are using our mind as a basis to exercise this concentration. And many people say they can't concentrate. So Mola Bapa said, leave worldly matters aside. How will you be able to concentrate when your mind is in turmoil? I have a very good friend who often tells me it's called the turbulence of the mind. What a beautiful term. Turbulence. You know, when there is a violent storm, there is turbulence. How is your mind be able to concentrate? You won't be able to concentrate in ibadah. On the other hand, the turbulence of the mind, like it says in the Gnan, manne maroto, gur kahe manne malo. It means quieten your mind. Stop the turbulence of the mind, and then Mawla will appear to you. You'll be able to see Mawla spiritually. Turbulence of the mind is the outcome of the fact that we have attachment. Understand this, please. That when the mind is attached, it's called moh, false delusion, and attachment. Attachment in worldly matters, which creates this maya, this illusion and delusion. And when there is this attachment, the mind will not leave you. It will not enable you to detach yourself from it and concentrate on matters related to your soul. So how do you make the detachment? So here comes the analogy. Look at this picture. See? Why is the sun the foundation? Because when you take, look at the analogy. So let's say this is what you have materially. When you take the portion of the sun out, whatever remains becomes purified. That's what the Farman said. Then what happens? When you eat and wear what is purified, the barakat of that purification will quieten the turbulence of the mind, meaning it will cut the attachment into the world. So when you, let me be more clear, when you take the sound out, it's like you are detaching, remember that word, detach the sound from what you have. Take the sound in the hand of Mola Bapa. It is his property. Now what remains is pure. Now look, when you detach from what you have, in the same way, your mind will become detached from the world. As long as your mind is attached to the world, you won't be able to concentrate. But when you submit, return amanat, the mind will gradually detach from the world. The secret of concentration is the song, detachment. And how does that happen? So look at the reverse. You know, when the mind does not get detached, what happens? Now, I am not going into all the very intricate details because I think time is running faster than I am. When there is no the sound, guess what? You will have, as they say, for a human being dwelling on the object of the senses, okay? So when you take your five senses and they are really, really deeply buried into matters that are connected with these five senses, remember? And let me be clear, matters of nafse amara, you know, everything related to your lower passions. And the senses are engaged with that. And you are engaged with the object of the senses. Because remember, the soul is not part of the sense. That's why Mola Bapa says, let worldly set worldly matters aside. This is part of your senses. All worldly matters have to do with your senses. So for anyone dwelling on your five senses or on objects of the senses, guess what happens? Guess what happens? When you dwell in matters of the senses, an attachment is born. Think about it in your mind, very logically. When you attach yourself to object of the senses, an attachment is born. And from that attachment, there will be a desire. Because when there is an attachment, there will be a desire. A desire to do something, maybe to own it, maybe to have it. And when a desire is born, from that desire, anger will come. Especially when you can't have it. Now anger takes many forms. And anger takes many, many shapes. When we get anxious, when we get stressed, when we get disconnected with the reality we are living in, all that to do is anger. Sorry, I don't have the time right now to go into the spiritual psychology of these, but I will in some of my talks. But simply to say, what happens when an anger is born? From this anger, you will have delusion. I know you know the meaning of delusion. Meaning, you will think something is real, but it's not. And then, from that delusion, there will be wandering of memory. What does wandering of memory mean? You will not be able to remember the hakikat. Only the lower aspect of your being will guide you. Meaning, you now lost track. Because memory means to remember the hakikat on this basis. But you won't. And from the wandering of memory, guess what happened? Destruction. Remember this word. Destruction of akal, intelligence. So when there is false attachment that is born out of non-giving the soul, there will be destruction of intelligence. That's why this picture, as I said to you in the beginning, though I have used it in many other ways, but here it shows no dasan, no connection with the divine intellect. No connection. So, just to come back to this fundamental principle, the divine intellect transcends and informs the human intellect. The human intellect receives its illumination, its guidance, its power, its energy, and everything from the divine intellect. This human intellect is supported by iman, or faith. Faith means love for Hazrat Imam in the heart. Nothing more than that. But this love is, in practice, the love and devotion, the acceptance of Hazrat Imam. That you accept Mawla as Mawla is the Noor himself. And there is nothing more than that. It is the ultimate. It is the absolute. And we are submitted to the Noor of Hazrat Imam. In Farman, Tan, Man and Dhan. In this world and the next. That is the Valaya. And if you are submitted, and you have accepted Mawla Bapa as Mawla Bapa himself, as the Noor of Allah, as one whom you recognize that Allah and Imam are one, then I am duty bound to exercise my promise and contract that I hold the cosmic trust in my hand, and I need to return this cosmic trust, this amanat to Hazrat Imam, because this is my dasan into my faith, without which my faith has no foundation, and there is no foundation of anything else in life. Because my dasan is a divine protection from Hazrat Imam. My dasan is barakat from Hazrat Imam. My dasan is divine illumination from Hazrat Imam in my intellect, in my heart, in my soul. My dasan is bringing Noor in my ibadat. My dasan is my safety line, is my insurance. My dasan is what keeps me linked, attached to the Noor of Mawla Bapa through my akal, and my akal through the divine intellect. My dasan is a proof, is a testimony, it is the evidence now and in the day of judgment. My dasan means I accept Mawla Bapa, I accept his guidance, I accept Mawla Bapa's farman. And my dasan means that I'm saying to Mawla Bapa, listen to this carefully, I'm putting it very practically, when I am clean and clear and honest and sincere in my dasan, and I must underline, out of my love and affection, out of my love and affection, and out of my free will, and out of my understanding, out of my knowledge, when I submit my dasan, I am saying to Mawla Bapa, Hazrat Imam, I need you. I can't live my life without you. I can't breathe without you. My life is meaningless without you. Every step, every breath I take, Mawla, I have to have you. I have to be close to me. And you be close to me. Mawla Bapa, hold my hand. Mawla, protect me. I'm living in a vicious world, full of traps, full of cheat, full of deceits, full of uncertainty. Mawla, guide me into this world in a manner that takes me to safety. The safety under your umbrella. This is my dasan. When I submit dasan, I'm saying, Hazrat Imam, there is you and no one and none else but you, and it is you I rely upon. You are my protection, you are my guidance, you are my light, you are everything. And when I leave this world, Mawla Bapa, in the future, in a year after, I want to come back into your Noor. And this is the link of my dasan. My dear brothers and sisters, time always runs fast, and I know it is late in wherever you are. I'm going to stop here, but this is not the end of the subject. I definitely will continue in many different ways, but continuing to integrate, even though you think it may be repetitious. But inshallah, this is not the second lecture that I'll do it on this Monday for this sector. But I will, inshallah, now begin to bring other elements, because this foundation is important. Without this foundation, there's no point even me speaking to you. But I hope, inshallah, out of your intelligence, out of your love, out of your affection for Mawla, that you will always remember this fundamental principle. Let me pray. Let us pray all together. May Mawla Bapa make you strong, 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 and super strong. With Mawla's blessing, make you strong in your dasan.
Amen.
Make you strong in your ibadat.
Amen.
Make you strong in your goodwill.
Amen.
And because of your dasan, because of your love and affection of Mawla, may your akal, your intelligence be illuminated. Mawla's light come into your heart, your soul, your intellect, to guide you, to protect you, to keep you safe. And whatever you do in life, because of your love for Mawla, may your life be successful. And because of your love and affection for Mawla, may all obstacles be removed. And Mawla Bapa guide you every step, every breath, in every the song, your sincerity, honesty, your love and affection for Mawla. May Mawla hold your hand. May no calamity touch you. May you see barakat every day. And may Mawla Bapa, may you remember Mawla Bapa in your prayer for your gratitude. In your gratitude. And always say Qur'an to Mawla Bapa, because of what you know. Everything is from Him. That is our source. And that is our life, and that is our air. Just like the air we breathe, we remember. And may our vision, may our thoughts, may the things that we do always be connected with the presence of Mawla Bapa in front of us. We have the presence of Mawla Bapa, and Mawla Bapa is with us. We will always be successful and get the right thing. And Mawla Bapa bless you. Zahiri Batini Bidah. Haqiqat is so much in everything.
Amen.
Shukran, Alhamdulillah. I know people may have asked many questions in the chat and some observation and remarks, and I will address those questions. We will set up a time and we will do that. And your observation and everything are welcome, so that we can improve the session as we go along.
Thank you, Dr. Hashim. Thank you, Dr. Hashim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali Madad. Thank you.